To go ahead and do this program as a tribute to the Summer Arts Festival, because we realized that this Wednesday was going to fall the day before the festival comes back, and we're really excited to have it back this year after a year without a festival. They did a great job still trying to entertain us at home with their the lawn chair lounge and things that they did last year. So I'm really glad that they still tried to get stuff together. And I know that going into this year, there was worry of, how a festival would look like. And they wanted to give it more time for before they announced things. And we're getting a month of a festival as opposed to June and July. So I'm excited that we're getting something. So I wanted to put together something about the festival. We realized we didn't have a whole lot in our collections aside from past programs and pictures and things like that, which is great to have, and we do have quite a bit of those. But we stumbled across the idea of doing this as trivia instead. So we thought that would let us highlight some more things that we don't necessarily have in our collection. We can just go through more recent things or just fun facts from the festival and things like that. So this picture here is from 1969 that we used as our backdrop for the event. And it was Hap Ashenfelter's orchestra. And at the time, he was a very well-loved local area musician. And that was the third year of the festival out there. And you can see the crowd out there and everybody on the stage. And this was actually the picture that won our March Madness competition that we had earlier this year. We've done for the last several years a March Madness where we put either artifacts or people or places or different things up against each other. And this last year we decided to put photos up against each other, and we had historic photos that we'd shared before in the newspaper and things like that, and had people pick their favorite thing, whether it represented a time or a place or a person or an activity or things like that. And I think people really enjoyed reminiscing, going through those photos. And this is the photo that won the entire March Madness out of 64 pictures. They beat out everybody else, because I think that people really love the Summer Arts Festival, and there are other similar things like that across the country, but we are the longest running to have that Springfield has, and this is their 55th year this year. So we'll have some questions here to see what you guys know. And we decided to run this like Jeopardy, and I found this nice template online. So we're gonna start our game here with our theme song. Don't you feel like you're there? I guess I'm the new host of Jeopardy. Oh, we've had these temporary hosts, so I'm hosting tonight. This is being recorded as our other programs have been. This will eventually be up on our Facebook and YouTube for other people to try their hand at the trivia. And we're going to run this one a little bit different than I have past trivias, where I hold the questions until later in the round. We're going to go ahead and give the answers to the questions right after we give the question. So the way we're going to do this, we don't want people answering in the chat. You don't need to shout out until I say what's the answer. But if you want to write it down, so in your head, you know that you knew it before anybody else, that's up to you. This is just for fun. You can keep score however you like, but I always used to watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? And they always said the points are made up and they don't matter. So they don't really matter here. But if you want to write it down for yourself, so you know that you did know the answer before anyone told you, you can do that. So if you want to grab something to write and play along, you're welcome to do that. And I've got categories here. We got This Covered, which will be about cover bands that have come to the park. Broadway in the Park will be about Broadway musicals that were out there. Young Folks will highlight our Youth Arts Ambassadors group that does youth shows. Local Yokels will have connections to local people who've performed or been a part of the festival. Originators will have to do with people who are with people and things that were originals out at the park. And Potpourri is our miscellaneous category, where we just have all sorts of questions. And I have these in random order throughout the slides. So what I'll do is I'll read the question. You guys can think about it for a second, and then if you guys want to unmute yourselves to answer when I say, does anyone know the answer? We'll go right into the slide with the answer as well. So for 200, under the category We've Got This Covered, this cover band did not need to wait for hell to freeze over to visit Springfield. In fact, they visited the festival multiple times. Does anyone know the answer to this one?
Eagles tribute band.
Do you know what the name of the band was, Marianne?
No, I don't.
So
California.
It was an Eagles tribute band. Yes, Anna, it was Hotel California. And for a bonus, you can name this song that I took in a very terrible video that I did while I was at the show. And let me make sure that I'm on my sound sharing before I do this.
Hotel California.
It's Hotel California. So the clue was the name of the band. And one of my favorite things about being at the festival is when everybody now brings their phones out and tries to tape at the same time. So sometimes I like to just stand back at the back and get a video of everybody who's trying to get a video of everything. So this is one of my terrible videos of everybody getting a video, because you can see all of the cell phones in there. But they've been there a couple times, and I think the one this year when they came, they were doing a special tribute to Glenn Fry, who had just passed away. Okay, for $400 in the category Broadway in the Park, this sharpshooting production was the first Broadway in the Park show when the festival began in 1967. It returned in 2011.
Annie, get your gun.
Yes, it was Annie, Get Your Gun. And we know that Annie Oakley has Springfield ties, that she did one of her first shows here at the Crystal Palace in Springfield. That was a show in 2011 that I didn't get to see all of it, because that was one where I was with my kids. They never make it through all make it through the shows, and they were really young at the time. Our next one in the category Young Folks for $400. In 1968, this youth show featured leprechauns and was based on a 1947 play. Fred Astaire was in a film version, also in 1968.
Indian's Rainbow?
Yes, it is. I'd never heard of this one. I had to look it up. And I didn't know about the Fred Astaire, but this is one of the few things that we have in our collection of early shows. And it was a workshop performance, which is something that they still have done they've done it in the last 10 years. Workshop groups come and will work with kids for a full week. And then at the end of the week, they do a performance out at the park. I know they haven't done that in a few years, but I think like Missoula Theater was one that had done that in the recent past. So I don't know if anybody had kids that were out there or that performed out there, but I saw somebody share online some articles about this, and I recognized some names and faces in there of people that are still performing today and around in town. Our next one for $600 in the category Local Yokels. This popular local magician, who also founded Safety City, was often featured at the festival.
Herman the Magician?
Yes. Herman the Magician. He was also very popular all over town and out at the county fair. This was actually something that his daughter had shared a few days ago, on 2 days ago on the 28th. She started a tribute page to share some of the stuff that he'd collected over the years from his career as a magician, and also documenting his role as starting Safety City. So this was from when he performed out there in 1986. And this was, and you'll notice the flyer says that that it was at the Art Center. So in the early years
Honey,
the
I'm
festival,
okay now.
not everything was performed out at the park. It was, some of it was performed inside at different places. And there was stuff that was parked down at now the Springfield Museum of Art, then called the Art Center. They still do some things at the Art Center now. The Kids Fest, as they usually hold, is held down there. Okay, for $200 in Broadway in the Park. This arts education director for the Springfield Arts Council starred in the 2014 production of Grease and the 2019 production of Legally Blonde. Does
Chris-
anyone know? Does anyone know who their education director is? She runs the Youth Arts Ambassadors program.
Chris Moore, but it's not him.
No, and I don't think he would have starred in Legally Blonde.
No, that's true.
KRISSY.
It's KRISSY.
Mm.
So KRISSY is she's the head of their Youth Arts Ambassadors program, and she handles their education programs there. But she's KRISSY Brown, and they moved from our downstairs. They used to be down on our first floor a few months ago, and now they're out at the Springfield New Sun building. But KRISSY just had a baby a couple weeks ago, so they had two babies born in the Arts Council staff right before they go into the festival season. So it was very good timing for them to not have to worry about any of that this year. All right, in the category, we've got this covered for $400. Debuting at the festival in 2016 and returning in 2018, this well-traveled cover band drew some of the highest crowds ever. Anyone make it out to this one? They were supposed to come back in 2020 last year, but when the festival got canceled, they didn't come out here. So hope they may be back.
Is it Resurrection?
It is Resurrection.
My favorite ones down there.
Yeah, it's the Journey tribute. And this is one of the best pictures they've ever caught down there. Rod Hatfield and Brian Traylor got this with a drone. Great shot that I love. That it shows how crowded it was. Bonus, does anyone have any idea how big those crowds were?
10,000.
They estimated that they had 10,000 here, which was the biggest crowd that they had in ever. That was the record, except for there's one coming up later that I think may break that record, have broken that record. But yeah, this is a great shot. And they include, this is on a raft that they have downtown on one of those signal boxes, I believe. Really great shot. Okay, in the category Broadway in the Park for $600. This musical, set in early 1900s Russia, is one of a few popular productions that has been at the park at least twice in the last 55 years. Anyone know any musicals set in Russia? It came back to the park a couple of years ago. This was Fiddler on the Roof. This is one of my favorite musicals of all time. We had a recording of the 70s movie version that I used to watch all the time. And this is a picture of the stage here. And this is one of those examples of not knowing whether the weather will hold out or not. This was a day where the weather was supposed to be terrible, and I decided to go ahead and set my chairs out in the morning anyways, and it held out. So I've also set my chairs out in the morning to have them completely soaked during the day. But you never know with one out at the park how the weather will do for you. In the category Originators for $400. This local theater, which began in 1931, has been involved in putting on many park productions over the years. They're a separate standalone theater. They celebrated 80 some years a few years ago. We had a small exhibit about them when they were here.
I'm thinking the region or the state.
No, this was a local theater company. Sorry, I should have been more clear.
Civic Theater.
Yep, it's the Civic Theater.
Okay.
So this was a scrapbook that we have that we got from Ann Armstrong, who was involved in a lot of productions out at the park. She gave us a great scrapbook that has a lot of stuff that from early years of the festival. So this was Civic Theater put on a production of Take Me Along out there at the festival. All right, for 400, category local yokels. This Springfielder visited home and played at the park in 2005, packing the park with an estimated 20,000 people.
Griffin House.
No,
Legend.
John Legend.
John Legend.
2005.
And unfortunately, I have tried to find pictures of that. I found articles about it, but no pictures of when he was out at the park. So yes, John Legend played here back in 2005, and maybe someday he'll come back and play again. All right, for the category, we've got this covered for 600. People always flock to the park to spend an evening in Margaritaville with a band that covers this popular laid-back entertainer. We're looking for the name of who they're covering.
Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett. So that is the Parrot Head Party in the Park, which is actually this weekend when the fireworks are going on later that evening. So that'll be the show starts at 8, but I think they've got food and margaritas and all sorts of stuff out there. I have to say I've actually never been to that show. Anna, have you been out to that one? No? I think that's always a fun one for people. Okay, does anyone know the name of the band that covers Jimmy Buffett out there? They're called the Parrots of the Caribbean. If you're looking for something to do this Saturday, that'll be out there. In the category Young Folks for 800. Yeah, this Broadway musical, based on a popular comic strip about an orphan, debuted on Broadway in 1977 and in the park in 1984.
Little Orphan Annie.
Yes, this was Annie. And Annie has been out of the park 3 times, or 4 times if you count the junior production that they did in 2017. That's a popular one. I always loved Annie. That was another one that I watched probably a ridiculous amount of times when I was little. Have Originators for 400. He retired in 2013 after heading the Springfield Arts Council for 39 years.
Chris Moore.
Yeah, that is Chris Moore.
He was my high school choir director.
Oh yeah, so we know that he was, he also was the music director for, I think, United Methodist on High, I think was where he was, and he's retired there recently.
Yep.
But in 1974, this was in one of the scrapbooks we had. Him and his wife Sally co-directed My Fair Lady, and that was his first foray into directing, which he did more after that.
He was at Shawnee in 72, so he left there to start doing those things.
Yeah, and I think 74 was the year that they incorporated the Arts Council as the Arts Council. So it was incorporated a few years after the festival had started even.
I think I worked with his wife, Sally, at one point too.
Yeah. Here's a $200 question from category Potpourri. In 2009, Colin Hay, frontman from this band who came from the land down under, played at the park.
Who was Men at Work.
Yes. He was the lead singer for Men at Work, and this is my terrible picture from when we saw him in 2009. But this little picture down in the corner this was my daughter Paige's very first concert in 2009. She was 3 weeks old. So We sat there the whole time thinking, we are the people that brought a baby to this concert, but it was nice to get out of the house, which is also a good thing about the festival. It's a nice thing to get people out of the house and together down at the park. It was a good show too. We got this covered for 800. This popular festival staple plays a mix of 50s, 60s, and 70s rock. This year, they'll be closing out the festival.
Is it Phil Dirt and the Dozers?
It's Phil Dirt and the Dozers. And they're also a popular staple that's been out at the county fair a lot. This picture is from 1994 when they played the county fair. But yeah, they'll be the last show this year, I believe. I think usually they open this summer, but they're closing out with them this time. All right, for originators for 1,000, we have, before it was Cliff Park / Veterans Park, how was that area used? Does anyone know?
I played softball down there when I was a kid because I could walk right down Plum Street from North Yellow Spring Street. And I played ball there, but the Springfield School, no, the Springfield Parks and Recreation also used to have things in there for the kids, crafts and things like that during the summer on certain days of the week. And I went down for that. And I don't know what else, but those
Well,
are.
I say we're talking way back. What we have.
All right,
That's
let's not talk like
but
that.
but wait, no, I was going to say that's good to know that they have that out there. But way back, it was a limestone quarry. So the reason that the cliffs are on either side of the park in that area is because it was blasted out for limestone. And this is a great picture that we have that shows the people that worked there, and they also lived there too. We've got some clothes drying over here. And they had their setup over there. I can't remember. I don't have the little bit of text that explains the time frame of when this was, but I think Isaac Ward Fry Street is up there, getting towards College Avenue. I can't remember exactly where. He was one of the owners, I believe, of the quarry at the time. But I remember the dates on that. But this is a pretty cool picture that we have about the showing that area well before there was anything else there. All right, in the category, we've got this covered for 1,000. In 2012, twins Matthew and Gunnar from the rock band Nelson played a tribute to their famous father at the festival.
Ricky Nelson.
Yep.
Ricky Nelson. And they did Ricky Nelson songs. So this is a CD that they put out of their tribute songs that they did. I seem to remember them having really long hair. They had short hair when they did that. All right, in the category Broadway in the Park for 800, we have this production that brought Python-style hijinks to the park was directed by this executive director of the Springfield Arts Council. He's the current executive director.
Like Tim Rowe, is that it?
Yes, it is. I don't have a picture of Tim here, but I do have a picture. I found this picture of them rehearsing for Spam-A-Lot, was the show that they brought, the Monty Python adaptation of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. They did some of their rehearsals here at Crable Hall at the Heritage Center, and I just thought this was a hilarious picture. In the category Young Folks for 200, have in 2015, the Youth Arts Ambassadors presented this tongue-twisting show. It was based on somebody who writes a lot of tongue-twisting children's books. It was Seussical Jr., the musical. That was a fun one. That one fell on my wedding anniversary, and my husband said, "I can't believe you're making us go to all these shows, even on our anniversary." And it was a very cute show, and I was glad that we went to it. This one for 200 under local yokels. This local singer-songwriter and North High graduate plays at the festival regularly in recent years, and he'll be here this year too.
On Friday night, I think.
Yes, yes. So he's playing this week. I think somebody said his name before.
Griffin.
Yeah, this is Griffin House. This was him a couple of years ago, rocking his Champion City shirt.
Hmm.
So I know he did some. I think he was one of the people that did a virtual show online for last year when everything was closed down.
I buy my tires for Dad.
Oh, do you? Another one from Local Yokels for 800. This local foundation brings together local churches for an evening of praise music at the park. They're always out there on a Sunday at the park. It's the NEHEMIAH Foundation. A lot of people up on stage singing together. All right. In the category Broadway in the Park for 1,000, the Wells Fargo wagon visited Springfield 3 times, tying with Annie is the most popularly produced show at the park. Does anyone know that show?
Oh, that's not Oklahoma.
No. 76 trombones, Let's Big Parade.
Man,
Yes. The Music Man has been out at the park 3 different times, plus a junior production in 2019. This is from the junior production. All right, in the category Originators for 200. In the early years, this local theater group, which sounds like they'd be great to have at a picnic, helmed many of the park's productions. This is another small theater company. People may or may not have heard of. They were called the Potluck Players. And they did shows out at the park, but they also did a lot of shows around town. And I know that they would perform out at the Breakfast with Santa with Smilin' Bob out at Wren's. That's another thing that we have in our scrapbook, is we have a whole scrapbook of the Potluck Players, all the people that were involved in that. And I think they went on to be in other theater productions and part of Springfield Civic Theater and other things. In the category Young Folks for 600, this 2014 show, Perfect for Anyone with a Sweet Tooth, was presented by the Ohio Performing Arts Institute. So that's our clue there, a show with lots of sweets in it.
Hmm.
In a chocolate factory.
Mm-hmm.
Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Willy Wonka was out of the park that year. Very, very fun and colorful production. Another one on Young Folks for 1,000. This religiously based musical, which debuted on Broadway in 1971, is this year's Youth Arts Ambassador production.
Jesus Christ Superstar?
No, but I would love to see that one out there. I have this one. This one I have not. I've seen it. I've not seen it performed on stage before. But this is the one that will be next week on July 6th and 7th. It's Godspell Jr. Will be the show that they do out there. Be sure to check that one out. For $1,000 on Local Yokels, an annual favorite, the Springfield Symphony Orchestra plays the park under the direction of this conductor who came in 2002. Does anyone know their current conductor's name?
His name Wilson or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Peter Stafford Wilson. And this picture is actually from the show in 2002. So I think that means he would have been there by then. So this was their performance out at the park, and they're there every year. And that's always a great show too. All right, in originators for 800. In 1915, this church, originally located on Harding Road, held a forerunner to the festival with 6 weeks of free entertainment. They are currently located out on St. Paris Pike. Wait, not St. Paris Pike. Above Bechtel. If anyone knows that church. It was Grace Evangelical Lutheran. The building still stands. I'm not sure if it's in use right now. It was a Hope something or other was the name of the church before that, most recently, but I'm not sure if it's in use right now as a church. But it's right there at Harding and Fountain, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is in use, because I remember when I was at Village Voices, we did a couple practices there.
Okay.
That was last year, 2 years ago.
So yeah, I know that there's a sign out there. I can't recall what it is right now, but yeah, I think, but they had held a 6-week free arts festival out there in 1915. In the category potpourri for 400, we have, for years, the festival played at other locations besides the park, often needing rain sites. When was the roof added to the stage that made rain less of an issue? Anyone know when that was? It was the same year that John Legend played, I think.
5.
So 2005, they added it. Got a couple pictures here. This one is one from the 70s. You can see the stage without the roof on it. This was from a few years ago, when I was on the board at the Arts Council. I was announcing the show for the I think it was the military band that was there, and there was torrential downpour and rain, and they weren't sure if they were going to have to cancel the show. And I was up on stage behind the band waiting to see if they were going to call the show or not. And everybody was still out there with their umbrellas waiting to see if it was going to get called. And right as the rain let up, somebody from the band went out to the front of the stage and started just singing a beautiful song after the rain lifted, and everybody applauded and cheered. And it was a really great moment to get things back on track. So, and then the sun came out and it was great weather the rest of the show. So I've got another little video down here. And make sure I'm still sharing my sound. This was all right. Does anyone recognize that song?
Queen, but I don't know the name.
It's Queen. Yeah, it's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
But this show was a very, very rainy show with the Springfield Symphony Orchestra, and we sat through the whole thing, and everybody sat there with their umbrellas. So if you've been to shows out of the park, depending on what it is, the show goes on no matter what. So people sat there with their umbrellas through the whole thing. It's really nice. Yeah.
First started out, when it rained, they would take it to Wittenberg, the show.
Oh, to Wittenberg. Okay. And I also had seen
And I don't know why they were doing that.
I had seen that North was a backup place. Sometimes they would go over to the art center and have stuff there.
Right.
They had some different, I can't think of the word, things in Snyder Park, the covered
Band
things.
shell.
Yeah, the band shell, that's the word. And then they had there's a stage over in Snyder Park that they'd used as part of the festival shows as well. That's still over there by the new Rotary Park. So they had lots of backup options. So most of the time the shows still go on in the rain there. But we do know that the pit area can get very wet and flooded depending on how fast the rain comes in. And if there's lightning, they do cancel shows. Because I remember one year I went to a symphony show that was doing John Williams, and most of the show was canceled because of a big bad thunderstorm that came through. So fingers crossed for good weather this year. In category potpourri for 600, Alex Zerbe, comic juggler, came to the park in 2014 after appearing on what reality performance shows? You guys know any reality shows that are out there? You can just name one where they have performers.
America's Got Talent.
Yeah, that was one. He was on America's Got Talent, and he was also on Last Comic Standing. And I've got a little clip of him too. He was pretty funny. This was another show that had torrential downpour right before 8 o'clock, and then it cleared up completely. So a lot of people stayed away from that one. So we had basically front row seats for that at the end.
Oh no! Quick! Quick! Before they notice! Woo! I'll take it!
He had a bowling ball, a sword, and an egg that he was juggling there. So he was pretty impressive. Under potpourri for 800. Oh, I think we're getting to it. Yeah. Every year, the Summer Arts Festival keeps the festival free by doing this during intermission.
Picking up collections.
Selection.
And what do? They pass the hat. Oh, and I found some stuff in some of the earlier programs saying that they passed the can. So I'll have to find out when they got those hats to put the cans in, because they used to say, well, pass the can at intermission. But they always have that, the musical sign where they fill up to get, because they still have to pay the performers. We get to see it for free, but the performers do want to get paid to come there. So they have to make up the rest of that. So they have to pass the hat. And this was a number of years ago when Elliot was very tiny, and Paige was like 5, and they were helping pass the hat out there. And I know we've done it. The Heritage Center has passed the hat before. I don't know if we're signed up for this year. I'll have to check in with the people over there and see if they need any extra help. But that's always a good way to bug people. Is to a lot of community organizations do that. And I called Sarah today to see if she could tell me what the highest amount that they'd ever collected at Pass the Hat was. She's their handles the money and everything over there, and all their fundraising. But she said it was 6,200 was the most that they collected during a single show. And I know that they always have a lot of backers that will do matches of, like however many $5 bills are in there, they'll match and stuff like that. So I know that when we go to the park, I always make sure that we have our stuff in increments of 5 if we can manage it in case it's one of those nights. But it's a good way to make sure it keeps coming. All right. For 1,000 under potpourri, how early can you place your chairs down at the park on the day of a show?
6 o'clock.
6 a.m. Is there anybody that goes down there at 6 a.m. to put their chairs out? Yeah.
I have in the past.
Yeah. I know that I would drive by, except I don't live as close to that now. I used to drive by on the way to work sometimes, and drop my chairs if I thought it was a show that we were going to need to have our good spots here. So tomorrow is the first show, and I think it's the K-Tel All-Stars, which is I think 70s hits, or I don't know if all sorts of hits, but yeah, they'll be down there tomorrow night. And this is a great shot of the chairs. And sometimes you drive by, depending on the show, and the chairs are just, the entire park is filled. So I've got the schedule coming up here. They still, even though we only have one month, we still have 18 different nights of shows, which is always mind-blowing to me. Oh wait, it doesn't have tomorrow's show on there. That's my bad. I must have cut off tomorrow's show. It's the KTEL All Stars. Is tomorrow night. And then Griffin House and the Parrots party is Saturday. If anybody's seen any shows on here before, I know the Petty Breakers was one that we'd really liked. And the orchestra is on the 11th. And there's going to be another play from an outside company, Midsummer Night's Dream. So some Shakespeare out there this year. We've got acrobats with the Cirque show. I think they've had a show like that before. That's a really fun one. Ooh, and a tribute to Huey Lewis and the News. That should be fun. And it closes out with Phil Dirt and the Dozers. So mark them on your calendars. Make sure you get down and put your chairs down if you think it's going to be a busy show. I want to give credit to the great site that I found that had all of this whole Jeopardy template. I'll probably use this again in the future if we do trivia. It was easy to use and fun. And I want to thank you guys for joining us. And if you know of any, I know that I have to get on the Arts Council because they have some stuff that before they moved from our building, we had talked about, oh, we need to get stuff from them. So now that they've moved, I need to get over to them after the festival is passed and say, hey, we need to get some from you to fill in some of the gaps on things that we don't have in our collection. And keep supporting us and following us online. We've got today is social media day, so I'm very thankful for my two interns, Sailor and Jonathan, and we have Sydney now doing graphic stuff and video for us. So we're doing a lot more to be able to share stuff on social media. So we've got our different handles here for Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and our Facebook. And if you scan this here, this is our donation link. And we've got a little, they set that up so that if you scan that up there, it'll take you to all of our different social media things. So hope you guys make it out to the park this year. And
Natalie, I wanted to say that Anna introduced me to your new interns there about a week or so ago, and I found it very interesting and going through there when they were looking over things at the Crable Discovery Hall. And I'm glad to see Connie back, and I enjoyed taking over for her on Thursday mornings. And if she ever wants to take off again, I'm available.
So yeah, last week we had a fun week, spending a lot of days out at the mall. After we had our mall program last week on the day that the mall closed, and then we had last week they let us go out there to take what we thought would be good for the collections, and they gave us, if you saw in the paper, they gave us the Peanuts characters. So the interns and they got to have a fun going through the pictures that we brought back from there and help organize that. So we've got that down in Crable right now, and we'll work to get those organized and identified and maybe in the future scanned and shared with people. So people can help identify people and places and things in there. So that's a really neat collection. So our next program is a week from now. We're doing them back to back this time because we wanted to get this one close to the 4th of July. Sailor is going to be running a program that'll be a little bit different. It's a panel or a roundtable discussion. So we'll ask people to sign up in advance, and they'll get some readings about the topic is it's 1776. What should we do? And people get to put themselves in the place of someone in the 13 colonies in 1776, and you'll be presented with readings that give you options of what should we do. So Sailor is going to lead the discussion on that, and we hope that people will join with that and do some of the background reading to see what the choices are, and try and encourage the rest of the group what they think we should do, whether we should join revolution or stay with Britain or any of that. So we'll have more. That's up on our Facebook now, but we'll have more about that. It'll be in the paper next week, and we'll be sending out the email to the volunteers that has the direct link to if people want to sign up to be part of that discussion. So thank you guys for coming tonight.
Good job,
And-
Natalie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. That was fun.
Yeah. How did you guys do?
I hear the music playing in my head, the Jeopardy music now.
Yeah. Oh, I should have ended. We were trying to decide if we were to do a final Jeopardy question, what to do, but we weren't really sure what to end with. But did you guys know some of the stuff? I tried. I think we'll probably do some more trivia in the future where we do it Jeopardy style. It's kind of fun to do it that way. So thank you guys. And another one we have coming up later in July will be July 21st about Clark County Fair history, because it'll be right before we go into the Clark County Fair that Friday. So we'll have more details about that one later, and we'll be working on that. So if you have any fair stuff, now's the time to get it to us. If you want it to be included in the presentation and in the stuff we have, we're happy to have it. So,
Okay,
all right. Well, thanks again.
yeah, thanks a lot,
All right,
Natalie.
Guys, have a
and,
good night.
Good night.
See you around.
Yeah, and I'll be around the kitchen again tomorrow, so, yeah.
Yeah. Bye.